What's going on, guys? Caden here, bringing you finally another video that's not like a life update or anything like that. This one's going to be part of kind of the FTM talk series. I was kind of going back and forth between topics for this video, but what I landed on was I was going to talk about my experience going stealth for a while at my new job. I am no longer stealth there. I am out, sort of, so I'll kind of break that down for you. As most of you know, I just moved back to Boston from Rhode Island. Was very much out in Rhode Island in all aspects of my life, just because I had kind of come into my transition there. So I had already been living there. Everyone kind of knew what was going on with me, and so it wouldn't have made sense for me to be stealth there. So when I moved to Boston, I do know a bunch of people in the city here. But at my new job, I was only going to know one person, one of my good friends from college who helped me get the job there. So she obviously knew that I was trans because I was female when we knew each other in college. So she was the only person at my new company who knew. But I was kind of not sure how I was going to navigate that space, but I decided since I was entering like a new career field, I had never done recruiting before, nothing really remotely like it, and I just hadn't lived in Boston. I didn't know that many people, so I was like, you know what, I really want to prove myself in this new job as Caden and not as, you know, the trans guy at work. So I decided to go into this job without telling anyone. You know, nobody knew. It hadn't circulated around, and I do really appreciate that, kind of being allowed to say it on my own terms, because it can be kind of difficult if you know someone already. You might already be known as that person. Thankfully, I wasn't, so that worked out pretty well. So it was really interesting, kind of going in there the first couple, at least even for the interview. You know, I always kind of feel like my gender is in my head quite often, and I'm sure a lot of you feel that way as well, because, you know, it's hard when you haven't done this for very long and you're still kind of getting used to gendered spaces and like etiquette in gendered spaces. And my last full-time job that I had, I know I've updated you guys a few times on that job. It wasn't really easy for me to be out there because I realized that everyone had already known I was trans, and I didn't know that because I was not passing the way that I thought I was, and just different things played into that, but it didn't make it very easy. That office was a very like bro culture. It was all men, and so, you know, it wasn't a very easy place for me personally to feel comfortable in my identity. This place, I had great vibes when I went in for the interview. I was told everybody really liked me when they interviewed me, and it was pretty much like an instant decision to hire, which just made me really happy. I always kind of feel like in interviews and stuff since transitioning, I kind of have to like fake it till I make it. Like, I don't have the confidence, but I have to kind of push it out so that, you know, I can have an opportunity. And I think that's what I was really doing, was like, you know, just kind of pretend you're a lot more comfortable than you are, and maybe people will buy it. And I feel like that's what happened. But fast forward a little bit, I've been working this job for almost 3 months now, and I'm very comfortable there. A lot of people at the office, I feel like, don't know I'm trans just because the way that people found out was through social media. I did do it on my own terms. My friend who got me the job a couple weeks after I got it was actually transferring to another one of our offices out of state. So I decided that, you know, we had been friends for a very long time, and, you know, I'm sappy on social media, so when I see my friends and whatnot, so I made this like sappy post or whatever, and it included a photo from now and a photo from the first day we met, which obviously I was very female presenting in that photo. It was 7 years ago. I, you know, put a little montage of photos together, and all but this one, since this was the first time we'd seen each other since I transitioned, all but that one photo, I was, you know, female presenting. And in a lot of different ways. Like, a lot of them I was a lot more masculine than I was in the original photo. Yeah, so that's basically the way I did it. Was I tagged her in it, and then I realized that, you know, she was probably friends with all these people from the office who were seeing this photo and were like, Oh, that's really interesting. You know, like trying to figure out either who the girl in the photo was, or kind of click to them, and we're like, wow, that's the same person. So I don't know exactly how many people at the office saw that, or I do know like a lot of the management saw it because they made comments on it. Not comments referencing that, but just comments on it, or liked the photo, or so I know who has definitely seen it. There are a lot of people in the office that I don't know if they know. But the first couple weeks there, I had been stealth, and right now, to a degree, I guess I am, because I don't go and broadcast it. No one's asked about my tattoo, which did make me nervous about wearing short sleeves a few times, because I was like, oh, if someone asks, I'm going to be out. It is interesting, kind of like being one of the guys at the office for the first time. Like, I've never really experienced that before, and it's different. Like, people treat you different when they perceive you as a man versus a woman, and it's like one of those things about gender bias and like gender inequality and stuff is, yes, I notice that men speak differently about women when women are not around, and especially when they don't know that you've had that experience in your past. So I've heard a lot of things. I'm not saying in my office. This is just totally outside of that. I'm just speaking in general. That has been my experience. People who don't know that I'm trans speak about women very differently when women are around versus when they're not. And so they don't know that I've kind of had this experience, and I hear a lot of things in a very different way. I've experienced both ends of the spectrum. The one thing that still is difficult for me, and this is just on a personal level, not because anything's happened or anything like that, is the bathroom situation. So in my office, there's a bathroom outside of our actual office that we share with the two other offices on the floor. So it's like a communal bathroom just for our floor. You need a code to get into it or whatever. And this was something that I was really nervous about, because I just don't like going into public bathrooms in general. I try to avoid it at all costs, even passing now. I currently do not use an STP. I have one, but I just have this like extreme fear that I'm going to pee all over myself, and I don't like having that anxiety, like especially at work and my new job. So I prefer not to use one. I do pack every day, but I just don't use my STP at work, or in general right now I don't use one. So that's something that kind of makes me nervous. And when I was stealth, I had not sat in the bathroom once. Like, did not go in there at all. Never even put the code in to the door. It took me 5.5 weeks at this job to even enter the bathroom there. And I know that sounds insane for some of you, but I really just could not get past the mental block of going in. I didn't know what it was like in there. I didn't know how big it was. I didn't know how many people I was going to run into. So it was a fearful thing for me. Now I've been like going into that bathroom. Now that I'm training and I'm supplementing correctly and everything, I have to go to the bathroom like every hour. So I was like, eventually I was like, this is going to be unavoidable. I need to just suck it up and like just do it, like, because this is going to be something. I work here every single day, and I need to like go to the bathroom. What I was doing before was, I work in like the center of Boston, and I didn't realize that most of like the coffee shops or like every other like place around my office do not have public bathrooms. So it's kind of like, shit, what do you do if you have to go to the bathroom? And so Panera downstairs has a code. And the one time I went in there, I didn't realize they had a code. But thankfully there was this girl that worked there standing right there, and she was like, oh, do you need the code? And just gave me the code. And I literally burned that thing into my brain. And every time I had to go to the bathroom for the first like 5-6 weeks at this job, I went down to Panera and bought a coffee and went to the bathroom there. Which is like the most ridiculous thing it sounds so stupid when you say it. But like when you have this experience where you're just like, I am new to male gendered spaces, it's very scary. And like you hear all the horror stories, and I am not acknowledging that trans women have this so much worse than trans men. We are very, very lucky to be able to pass a lot better, typically. especially in those spaces. So I do have that passing privilege, and nothing has ever happened to me in a bathroom. Knock on wood. But it makes me very nervous, and I don't like going in there, like, at all. Like, sometimes I wait until everyone's gone, like, to come out, and it's weird. I don't like it. But so anyway, finally I got up the courage to, like, start going to the bathroom in the office, and now it's, like, fine. I still get nervous about, like, people being in there. I just don't like it. But that's just something I have to deal with, and it is what it is. Like, I really like my new job. Everyone's really cool there. Everyone's really nice. Nothing has happened regarding my gender identity. I don't know who knows and who doesn't, but no one's really treated me different or anything like that. So it's going very well. If you are starting a new job and you do want to experience kind of like what it's like to be self, that's definitely a good time. It's just definitely know, like, how well you're passing, because my last job, when I tried to be self, I didn't know I wasn't passing. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And another thing is, like, know what your plan is going to be if people do find out and you don't want them to, or if you're going to out yourself to some people. Just realize that a lot of people might find out, and you might not know who knows and who doesn't. I don't really know where I was going with that. Like, I had a lot to say, and I feel like it didn't all come together very well. But if anybody has any questions about this, or, like, you know, what it's like to be stealth, or what it's like to be out all the time, or what it's like to work in a corporate office as trans, I don't really know any of this. Like, this is all just my personal experience, so a lot of you are going to have very, very different experiences, and I'd love to hear those. Feel free to leave those in the comments. I can always make another video addressing certain questions. So anyway, yeah, just wanted to talk about that for a minute, and yeah, happy Sunday, guys. See you later.